Before we dive in, this is Amira Blake, and today we're tracking a major global shift that could impact your portfolio, your dinar plans, and every investor watching Iraq's next move. Whether you're a local trader on the ISX or an American investor looking for timing on Iraq's monetary reform, you're in the right place because I'm breaking it all down in real talk, not technical jargon. Let's go. The headlines are heating up again, this time with reports that the United States has launched another bombing operation targeting Iranian assets. But what does that mean for Iraq's monetary reform process and the Iraqi Stock Exchange? Let's break it all down, because if you're holding stocks on the ISX, watching the dinar, or looking to make your move, this is one of those geopolitical moments that could shake things up fast. Here's what's happening. Whenever the U.S. takes military action in the Middle East, especially involving Iran, Iraq ends up caught in the middle. And when that happens, both the monetary reform process and the stock market feel it in a few critical ways. How? One, monetary reform could face delays. Iraq's monetary reform, which includes efforts to stabilize and strengthen the dinar, possibly introduce new lower denominations, or adjust the official exchange rate, depends on political stability and regional calm. U.S. strikes on Iran raise tensions on Iraqi soil. Why? Because Iran's influence runs deep in Iraq, through politicians, militias, and even parts of the economy. So when Iran is attacked, pro-Iranian factions in Iraq often react. That creates pressure on the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, to hold off on big monetary changes. Reform requires confidence from citizens, investors, and international partners. And in a climate of uncertainty or fear of retaliation, that confidence drops. So even if Iraq was preparing to roll out a new rate or release smaller bills, they may pause to avoid economic backlash or public confusion. 2. The ISX could see heavy volatility. Let's talk about the Iraqi Stock Exchange, SX. We've already seen banking stocks like Bank of Baghdad, Elaf Islamic Bank, and Gulf Commercial Bank take hits this week. Add a U.S. strike into the mix, and you've got even more uncertainty. Foreign investors tend to pull back during geopolitical flare-ups. They don't want to risk getting caught in sudden sanctions, delayed wire transfers, or liquidity freezes. Local investors may also panic sell, especially if militia activity or civil unrest breaks out in Baghdad or Basra. This leads to sharp drops in bank stocks, lower trading volumes, and potentially missed opportunities for those who don't understand the bigger picture. But here's the flip side. If the dust settles quickly and Iraq stays neutral, smart investors could see a dip buying opportunity, especially in undervalued stocks tied to real assets or consistent dividend performance, like Baghdad soft drinks, some telecoms, or cement companies building infrastructure. Investor sentiment is everything right now. This is where retail and foreign investors really have to think like billionaires. Don't react emotionally, react strategically. Ask questions like, is Iraq actually involved in the conflict? Answer, no. So far, Iraq has not officially taken sides. In fact, the Iraqi government has tried to maintain neutrality between the U.S. and Iran. But certain militias operating in Iraq do have ties to Iran, and that's where the tension rises. These groups can act independently and draw Iraq into indirect consequences, especially if they respond to the U.S. strike on their own. Investors should watch for whether the Iraqi government remains diplomatically neutral and continues functioning normally. That's key. Is the central bank still conducting auctions normally? Answer, yes. As of now, the CBI is still holding its daily currency auctions, where banks buy and sell U.S. dollars for trade and imports. This is a good sign of economic stability. If these auctions were ever paused or disrupted, it would be a major red flag that something behind the scenes is breaking down. But for now, operations are continuing. Keep watching their official press releases and auction summaries. They're like vital signs for the dinar. Are banking services still operating? Answer, absolutely. Iraqi banks are fully open and processing transactions, including wire transfers, cash withdrawals, and even dividend disbursements. No freeze on liquidity, no sign of shutdowns. This shows strong resilience in the sector. It also means that unless violence escalates significantly, most financial institutions are still running close to business as usual, at least from the outside. Are dividends still being paid? Answer: yes. Most ISX listed companies that are scheduled to pay dividends this quarter are still honoring those payments. That includes major players like Baghdad Soft Drinks and several telecom and bank stocks. This is crucial for foreign investors because steady dividend payout means the companies still have cash flow and trust in the system. Always double check the ISX dividend calendar and board announcements to confirm this week's updates. So, what's the takeaway? The US Iran conflict adds heat, but it hasn't broken Iraq's financial structure yet. The central bank is still working, banks are still paying, auctions are still running, and Iraq hasn't been pulled into direct involvement. The fear is psychological, not structural. That matters. Final thought: don't underestimate how closely monetary reform and the ISX are tied to regional peace. Iraq may try to walk a neutral line, but pressure from both the US and Iran can pull them in different directions. That's why it's critical to stay alert, follow central bank statements, and watch for signs of market resilience or breakdown. But if you're thinking like a billionaire, you're not watching this emotionally. You're looking at fundamentals. And right now, the foundations are still standing. This update was brought to you by Amira Blake, helping everyday investors like you make smarter moves in Iraq's fast-changing economy. If you've got questions, drop them in the comments. I'll make a follow-up video to break it down for you. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a real-time update on Iraq's financial future.